Kamala Harris voters, do not let the moves that Donald Trump is doing and Elon Musk doing really get you concerned too much. There are things that are happening right now. All the attorney generals are suing the Trump administration for trying to remove birthright citizenship. There are people, organizations like Indivisible and Mobilize, who are trying to organize online to make sure that Congress is feeling the pressure, just like they did at the shutdown. They pulled the pressure on them and they got scared like hell because there was hundreds of thousands of emails going out to them. But it is at a time, a very dark time that's happening, because we have a guy whose idea is, let me send out hundreds of executive orders and see which one floats. See, some of his executive orders aren't legal, like birthright citizenship. And he tried this in his first term. Remember with TikTok? He's the one that did an executive order to ban TikTok, okay? So then a federal judge overruled him, said, you can't do it, can't happen. The idea is that a Trump presidency involves, let's put out a bunch of stuff out there and see what sticks. And the reality is that the AGs, Democratic AGs, attorney generals, and the organizations that are out there on the left are fighting this left and right in the federal courts. Now, you might say, well, he has the federal courts because he has the Supreme Court. No, not necessarily. Here's why. The courts below the Supreme Court are more balanced, and they usually see the majority of cases in the United States, and they're more balanced. That's why Biden was rushing like crazy to get 200 plus judge federally confirmed, because he knew as long as you have the lower courts, you got a shot in the judicial branch. So what I'm saying is, the bad news, him and all these crazy policies. The good news, all of them ain't legal and all of them are not going to stick. The bad news is he keeps doing stuff like freeing the January 6th rioters and pardoning 1,500 plus of them, including the head of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, who are just straight up racist, Aryan Brotherhood motherfuckers who suck. But then the good news is we have a lot of judicial things that are happening, and there are a lot of people who are just not feeling this, who are standing on our side to fight against it. It is dangerous. It's a dangerous world. But I encourage you to be strong and realize that despite a Trump administration, which is foolish, which is wrecked with absolute idiocracy, which is propelled and fueled by the immensely, vastly ignorant and stupid people, I suggest that you stick, you keep focused, you stick onto the key things that I'm telling you here. One, he's too much of a circus to get anything done. Two, he governs like bullshit. Three, he builds nothing, just like when he built buildings, but at the same time, he screwed over all the contractors and he ended up going bankrupt in all of them 6 times in a row, okay? And casinos and everything. That's what he does. He doesn't build things. He's bullshit. Here's the other thing I want you to understand that's a good note. Our government is slow. You can't just walk in and change everything. Like he said, I'm going to get rid of the Department of Education. Yeah, you need 2/3 of Congress you don't have, and it's not going to happen, okay? Here's the other thing. People come in and say, well, he's going to come in and he's going to send out all of these people to attack, the ICE, and I'm going to do another video on that. But here's why that's total bullshit. It's basically just like when you see guns and drugs on the table by the police officers around cities. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's propaganda. Because the reality is that it's not going to be the guns and the drugs on the table. It's the constant breakdowns through your CIs to be able to pull people down and be able to pull information that strategically pulls them apart. And what really gets rid of drugs in America is the ability to get rid of drug addicts or have them deal with alternatives other than being on drugs. Drugs is about pain. And the source of that pain you can deal with, you can get them away from the drugs or prevent them from going there in the first place. It's on shock with Donald Trump. He's there saying, I'm going to get all these immigrants deported. Not going to happen. We're talking about $300 billion it would cost to get rid of 10 million immigrants. And then on top of that, all of these companies will be hurt. A lot of these companies were Trump supporters. Okay? I don't care what they say about the economy. It wasn't the economy. It was that I didn't want that black Indian woman who's married to the Jew as my president. That's what they really said. But they can't say that publicly. They just as soon say the economy. Just like immigration is a bullshit call. Oh, it's the immigration, really? What you really mean is you don't want all these brown people getting the bag and getting power and outnumbering you white folks. And racist white folks. I ain't talking to all white folks. But the point is that the Trump administration is going to be trying every step of the way. And our goal is to, one, expose the cruelty of these policies. Grabbing people, grabbing parents away from their children, trying to deport people. Cutting out people's advantages as the ability to have their gay rights or have civil rights that people have died over, including Martin Luther King. And then talk, Dr. Martin Luther King, when you talk about that, let's add on some other things. You got to expose the consequences of his policies. And they're feeling it already. Gas prices haven't gone down, grocery prices haven't gone down, and they won't. In addition to that, you got a scenario where he's flipping back on the very people who voted for him because they're against what Elon is talking about with these visas. And sure enough, they're clapping left and right, and Trump ain't hearing them. Trump is climbing so far up Elon's ass, every time he opens his mouth, we see Trump's face. My point here is that the slowness of government, compiled with the actual checks and balances, compiled with people actually like the Democratic AGs, the Democratic governors, the Democratic mayors, and the Democratic county presidents, okay, as well as people themselves being encouraged through Indivisible, through Mobilize, it's going to slow up a lot of things that are going to happen. Not to mention, again, as I said earlier, Trump is a natural circus. And, let me just give you an example. The Barnum and Bailey is out of business. You know what I mean? So will Trump. We got 48 months, 208 weeks, and 1,400 plus days to go. And we'll just hang in there. Hang tight. We'll make it.